Check, mic check.
To mute, which is announced unmuted. If ever you want to flip it down.
All right, welcome to Newton Athletic Park in Surrey, BC, on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples. You are watching the Junior British Columbia Ultimate Championships. This live stream is presented by Vancouver Ultimate. All right, once again, welcome to Newton Athletic Park, joined by Jonah Lee Ash. My name is your garage lolly. Thank you so much for spending your Sunday with us. Jonah, it's another year of the BC Ultimate Championships. Exciting times all around, especially for the teams that have made it to this point and teams vying for a spot at the Canadian Ultimate Championships set to be held in Edmonton this year. What's the feeling? What's the feeling process like heading into today?
I think it's a lot of pressure on these teams. Vancouver, over the past couple of years, have really grown, especially at the junior level. So there's a lot of players coming in from these areas that traditionally haven't had the strongest ultimate programs. One of them, Kamloops, represented here today, and they're going to want to put their best foot forward, because if they lose here, they lose their chance at qualifying for the national championships in Edmonton just next month.
So with our opening matchup today, we're going to be doing the open quarterfinal here at the West Field, and on field number 1, we'll have Nitro against the Helios. What do you know about both these teams, and what sort of matchup can we expect?
Well, Nitro is the, I want to say B team, the second team out of the Prime Ultimate program. So saying that Big Huck comes up going deep.
Yeah, big Huck, and as you can see, when it comes to the play between both of these teams as well, it's all about who can right to left on our screens. A big throw ends up getting completed, and we have our first score of the game.
Yeah, first score for Helios.
Oh, it is Helios.
Yeah.
Yes, Helios is going from left to right. Got my directions wrong.
All good. As I was saying, so Nitro is the second team out of the Prime program, started a couple of years ago after the pandemic, started by Edward Guo, perennially one of the winningest coaches in BC Ultimate. Decided he wanted to start his own program and bring in the best talent from Surrey, Richmond, Vancouver, and the North Shore. In their first year, the program won the championship, and this year looking to do the same. And this Nitro team, despite being the second team in the program, so not the best of the best players, are still full of high school Ultimate players and those freshly graduated.
Well, with Helios opening the scoring here with a 1-0 score, obviously the teams get a bit of time to now change because Nitro will now be getting their first offensive possession of the game. So when you score when you score first in a game such as that early on into a contest, what does it do to your confidence?
I think coming out of the gate and hitting a huck like that, a pretty big shot, 40-yard gainer, just kind of signals to your team that, okay, we're dialed. We can take these big shots, and we're confident throwing the disc further distances. And for the team against Nitro in this case, it's going to put some pressure on. They're going to be thinking, oh, these big guys from Kamloops, maybe we don't want to let them go deep. Maybe we're going to slough off a little bit further and give them the unders and kind of concede that deep space, defend that deep space and concede the space underneath the disc instead.
All right, Nitro now moves the disc as they'll go for a swing, and the ball or the disc is moved forward. Another dump back. They're just looking to play it safe here as trying to set their offense. A bit of a flip thrown further, and now a great pass sent up ahead. They're looking to use the forehand. Another dump sent back, and the dump, Jonah, is a sort of a play that normally helps move. They're quite the pass forward. Has a long huck thrown forward.
Yeah, the handlers, the players further back in the formation will typically be the players with more steady hands, better at catching, better at throwing. Typically at this level, maybe the less athletic players who aren't as physically gifted in height or speed will sit back and manage the disc. As we see here, 27 and number 2 going back and forth.
Yeah, the marker's counting out the 10. Great forehand throw there as Nitro's looking to respond. They're getting pretty close here. The 10 being counted out by the marker. Nitro knows they have to go. Time continuing to tick away here. Oh, they finally get it today, but there's a turnover. And now Helios will take over.
Yeah, Helios here with a chance to break.
Yeah, another forehand throw back down the other way as Helios looks to respond, heading back down the other side. Oh, what a long huck thrown. Will it be completed? It is complete. Great throw there by the forehand as Helios is looking to capitalize on a misplay by Nitro. Another drop there, and they're in the end zone. We have another score.
I'm going to be honest, that's not who I thought was going to end up with that Frisbee. But like we said, that first point, they completed a huck and proved that, hey, we've got the shots. We have the capability to take them. And once again, they came out, got the turnover, and
got the break point.
Got the break, exactly. For those of you at home who might not be familiar with ultimate terminology, a break can mean two things. It can mean to the side of the field that the team is defending, or it can mean a point that you score when you're starting on defense. So getting that turnover and then scoring going the other way is a break. So if you hear us say that, you'll know what it means.
But how about the confidence of Helios after not only scoring on their first offensive possession, but forcing the turnover and then scoring on the break point as well? I think a massive confidence booster for the team in white.
I agree.
Nothing earlier on in our contest, and here is the pull. Nothing earlier on in our contest, and here is the pull as the disc is thrown all the way down to the other end zone, and it's set down. So from that point, Nitro will begin a forehand throw, or rather a pass, and then the drop as Nitro's looking to move the disc. Great forehand throw there to number 8. Another pass, as you can see, Nitro wasting no time. Oh, almost a drop there, but Nitro had to be real careful. They drop it back. Again, deciding to just play it safe here, but look at the defense by the Helios. They're not even letting them get from one end, and it's over.
Oh, wow.
Look at that defensive pressure there, Jonah.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. Helios, I talked to their coach before the game. They're running 2 different defensive sets. That one was an arrowhead, which is a sort of a zone match hybrid, as Helios accidentally throw one a little bit too far. But we'll see them set it up here again. You can see 1 player on the mark and 2 kind of offset behind him. Those 3 players form, which is trying to drive Nitro backwards. Big flick blade over the top.
And it's intercepted as Helios is able to force yet another turnover. And it's all about defense here early on in this one. As you can see, Helios moving the ball, or the disc, I should say. I'm so used to calling balls sports.
It's all right. We call it the ball too in Ultimate.
Great throw there, almost intercepted, but Helios is able to keep the possession going. As now you can see Nitro kind of locking into their defense. Forehand throw gets complete. A bit of a flick to the right side. Back down the left wing. What a catch. And we will have to see what the official, or rather the observer, says here.
The pick call, which essentially means one of the defending players was impeded. Their line to make a play on the disc was impeded by another player, at which point play stops and the disc should go back. However, it looks like it's a score. So the pick did not affect either the defending player was too far away from their mark to actually have it be impactful, or maybe it just wasn't. Really is putting on a lot of pressure. We'll probably see it again here, pushing Nitro backwards and forcing them to lose yards over and over. Maybe they gain 5 yards, they lose 4 right back. And that's going to be kind of the thing that will decide that can Nitro make 20, 30, 40 passes in a row and marshal it down to the end zone.
I know, Jonah, you mentioned the arrowhead formation earlier on, a defensive tactic that teams often do use, but often we see that the force tactic is used as well, where you talked about the break side earlier on. That is also a part of the force tactic. Yeah,
so the force in Ultimate Frisbee typically is either you force them to throw a backhand, so you'll send them, or you'll force them to throw to the flick side. Exactly. What the arrowhead does...
Oh, a long huck there thrown down the other way, and it's not caught. We have a turnover.
Unlucky. What the arrowhead does is it forces them, they can go either way, but because you have those 2 players standing behind them, you're not going to gain yards upfield. You're kind of swinging it laterally across the field or backwards for a loss of yards. And the only way you get out of it is with maybe craftier throws, over the tops or inside shots.
And for Nitro, they're almost catching the one-handed huck down the other way. That would have been a great confidence booster, but Helios has the disc. A forehand throw, and that is dropped, so we'll have an interception here. And a turnover, I should say. They're looking to come to a resolution. And, Jonah, you talked about this as well, especially at the lower levels, or the junior levels, I should say, of Ultimate. Often when there is a dispute, both teams, it takes a bit for them to come to a resolution. Yeah, and so obviously Ultimate Frisbee is a self-officiated sport. Long huck back down the other way. And can Helios gain possession? And it's caught! Another score here for Helios, and they're up 4-0.
Wow! What a grab. Just a little bit too early from the defender going up. Wraps a bow on the present for Helios and the break. What were we talking about before?
We were, I think that play was just so spectacular that
we forgot.
But down the other way, and I mean, you talked about this Nitro team. They looked good leading up to this at this point in the tournament. And I don't think it's any indication as to this team is not playing well. It's just that Helios has come out looking like an absolute juggernaut.
Yeah, and to Nitro's credit, it hasn't really been bad decision making or anything. It's just a couple of drops here and there, a errant throw into the ground, a hand ball player. You're jumping in the air. Sometimes you just need to reach up with one hand and bring it down as the pull comes up for Helios.
Yeah, there is the pull, and Nitro's now looking to respond. Can they get anything going here on offense? As you'll see the lateral throw down south, the pivot foot and the drop there. Behind a forehand drop once again, as the storyline of this match so far, Jonah, has been that Helios is just not letting Nitro get down to the other end of the field.
Yeah, and you can see on the field there's 4 players kind of all around the disc, and then Nitro has 3 players so far deep they might they don't really have anyone in that mid space where they can hit these little hammers or these blades over the top. And having 3 defenders between your deeps and your handlers, it's kind of driving a wedge that's stopping Nitro from getting that continuation pass that'll break them through.
The handlers are just trying to get the disc down to the other end, but the defense is not allowing them to do so. There's a bit of a huck thrown down the other way, almost caught by one hand, but it is incomplete. And Helios will take over here as they take over right away.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of shot that they want. That was a great hammer over the top. Great defense or great offensive bid from the player.
Great clap catch there by Gazda of the Helios. A drop pass there as he'll drop this one back. The pivot foot is established, and the marker is counting a drop pass there, and now we see Helios working with the drop pass, something that the Nitros have kind of made their identity in this game today, as Helios looking for a pass forward, and that's caught with the clap catch as Helios is continuing to move disc down the other way. They're currently up 4-0, almost intercepted, but we have a turn
and a foul call.
And yes, a foul is called by the official, or the observer, I should say. So we'll see what they call here. And I like that sportsmanship between the two, that they do agree that, it's the right call. So,
yeah, that's a dicey one. That throw comes up. There's a lot of bumping going on between the two players. I think good spirit. Hey, yeah, I think I impeded your ability to catch the disc, and you can have it back.
Forehand throw there as Helios is back on offense. A clap catch by Mooland as he'll look to move it up, and that's caught. Two-handed catch right near the end zone as Helios is looking to complete it here. Forehand throw, and that's caught. Oh.
My goodness, a little collision after the catch.
Yes, a collision, but it is a good score, and Helios is up 5-0.
Wow. And we saw at that point number 16, Moulard, and number 8, Andrlik. I was talking to Dave Stelk, the Helios coach, before the game. Those are their 2-star players. Moulard, excellent handler, has every throw in the book, and Andrlik standing a solid 6'2", 6'3", towering over these other players. And they were just going back and forth during that end zone stand, punching it in with the high release backhand right at the end there.
It's hard to believe sometimes that some of these guys are still in high school with how active, how tall, and how agile they look out there.
Yeah, I think Kamloops teams or teams from the Okanagan generally have a multi-sport background. We've seen it a lot. Soccer players, lacrosse players, rugby players, volleyball players coming into the sport, and they're just built a little bit different, a little bit more muscle on those bones, and a little bit more experience playing high-level sports, whereas some of these Vancouver teams, the ultimate programs are so robust that many players start in grade 8, and that's their one sport that they play from grade 8 until they graduate. Not to say that one's better or worse, but you do see kind of different levels of intensity and different styles of ultimate born out of that fact.
Well, I attended David Thompson Secondary in Vancouver, so the ultimate program there is very well known. It's a very active ultimate program, and that's a school that prides itself for its ultimate program as well.
Yeah, David Thompson had a lot of games against you guys back in the day.
Pull thrown there, and
nice.
The clap catch is complete here for Nitro as they'll look to get something going on the offensive end here. But the big question is, can they get to the other end of the field?
Yeah, Nitro did a really good job. There was a little miscommunication. 2 players took the same person right at the start. They broke it through the middle. But if you can't get a continuation after you get it through the middle, it lets the defense set back up and it stifles all of your progress.
Clap catch is complete as we'll now see Nitro getting their foot set on offense, and there's the throw. It ends up complete. Nitro's looking to get something going here as the marker continues to count, and a turnover.
Maybe a little bit of sunscreen on that hand. It just slips out on the forehand.
Helios looking to waste no time, heading back down the other way. Here's a chance in the end zone. It's caught. Another score here for Helios, and they're up 6-0.
What a great sequence to get that disc off the turnover, get it moving fast, hit the upline, and then shoot your shot to the end zone. That was clinical.
Keep in mind for this tournament, I believe halftime does occur when teams get to 7 points, at which point there is a 7-point break. And we didn't expect it to be this early, but the teams are this is now a 6-0 game in favor of Helios over Nitros.
Yeah, it's going quick. But you know what? anything could happen. Yeah, I've seen teams take half 7-0, 7-1, and then the other team says, hey, this is our season. If we don't lock in right now, we're not going to be able to go to the Nationals. And if any team's going to fight back, it's going to be one of these prime teams, and I have no doubt that Nitro is going to figure something out here.
Yeah, the Canadian Ultimate Championships are going down this August 10th to 13th in Edmonton. And the teams here are vying to compete for a spot at the Canadian Ultimate Championships. And, well, from my first impression here, Helios certainly looks like a team that could represent the province of BC well.
Yeah, I am with you. This Helios team looks deadly. On offense, they're clinical. On defense, they are dogging them. And that's what we like to see.
So, with a Helios score here as the pull is thrown and down to the other end, with a Helios score here, they'll be up 7-0 and begin the halftime.
Yeah.
As you see a lateral throw here from Nitro. Nitro came very close to getting down to the other end of the field on their last offensive possession. Oh, he faked the huck as the drop pass back is complete.
Yeah.
So now, as you can see, Helios wasting no time staying up on defense, but Nitro's electing for the drop pass, and that is complete as well. The pass now thrown to the right side. Tried a bit of a give and go there, Jonah, but that's a turnover.
Yeah, sometimes moving the disc too fast, you're looking for the next option before you've caught it, and it sometimes just pops out of your hands.
All right, we'll see Helios compete here as they're going to the end zone. It's caught, but I believe 1 foot was out of the line. No, it's a score.
It was in. What
it was
a throw.
in. Wow.
Oh, my goodness. And I think that's halftime. A little bit earlier than we might have expected.
All right, it is halftime here at the Newton Athletic Park as Helios has just absolutely dominated so far. They're up 7-0, and they're looking for a chance to book their trip to the Open semifinal later on today. So 7-0 is the score. Jonah, your thoughts on the first half?
I think Helios had a very solid game plan going into that, especially on the defensive end. They were playing some contained defenses. They were playing defenses that maybe Nitro hasn't seen before. There was that arrowhead that was kind of forcing the disc out to the wings and trapping them on the sideline. And they also were running kind of the opposite. It's called the FSU. I can't tell you what that acronym stands for because I'll get kicked off the stream. But it does the opposite. It forces the disc into the middle. They ran it on that last point. And Nitro kind of didn't know where the open space was. They were catching the disc and not really sure, where am I supposed to cut to? Where am I supposed to look to throw it? And that confusion means that Nitro is throwing, 7, 8, 9, 10 dump throws in a row. And the more throws you're throwing, the more likelihood there is that you're going to mess up one of them. And so Helios is just playing the game. Make Nitro throw as many throws as possible. They're going to mess up eventually.
Yeah, very much. So with it being a 7-0 game here, it looks like Helios doesn't need no time at all to have a bit of a break. They're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the teams just agreed to maybe skip the halftime and get back into it, or if maybe we're playing to a different point cap and haven't been informed. But either way, the players are on the line, and it looks like they're getting ready, although the coach just took the field.
Yeah, I saw both coaches, the coach for Nitro and the coach for Helios, was out there on the field, but I think it looks like we're getting ready to get back in this one.
Yeah, pull going up.
Yeah, so the pull goes up down the other end of the field and
out of bounds.
Out of bounds indeed. So Nitro will begin their offensive possession here. And hey, sometimes we know that sports are often known as a tale of two halves. Could we see a turnaround here for Nitro?
Yeah, I'm hoping that Nitro can kind of figure out what they need to figure out to break through this Helios defense. It looks like Helios is setting up in a person, forcing backhand.
A long huck back down the other way, but it's incomplete.
That's unfortunate. I think Nitro was running the play is called a tree, where two players go out and the third slashes across, but neither of the two guys going out were ready for the huck to come out, and it just ended up going to no one.
Yeah, the forehand throw is complete as the drop pass now for Helios. They're looking to get this disc down to the other end of the field and in quick succession. Lewis with the lateral pass. What a catch with the one hand. Another forehand throw is complete. As you'll see, Helios just continuing to move the disc in rapid succession.
Yeah, Helios. Nitro's doing a good job gumming up the space upfield, but Helios has so many release valves. They've always got someone back or someone slashing across that they can hit.
To the end zone, and it's caught. Oh, no tale of two halves here. Helios picks up right where they left off in the first half. It's 8-0.
8-0. Yeah, great shot there. It looked like the player who assisted that didn't like how the throw came out. It kind of wobbled and turned into a blade. You saw him throw it and immediately put his hands on his knees like, oh no, what have I done? But hooked up perfectly, dropped right into the receiver's breadbasket.
Hey, sometimes it doesn't matter how you do it. All that matters is how you get it, is that you get it done.
Yeah, doesn't have to be pretty. Still counts as one.
Well, I see the game going on the other side of the field as well. It's not much of a difference there either. It's 6-0 on that side of the field.
Wow. Quarterfinals. Yeah, the skill disparity at this level can sometimes be pretty big, make for some lopsided games, but I won't say it's not exciting. We've had some big hucks, we've had some defensive plays, and although the score might be leaning one way pretty aggressively, there's still some good ultimate to be had here, and I'm sure these guys are having fun.
Oh, I know that our next game should be a fun one as well, as we'll get into the women's quarterfinal with Nitro taking on Vortex.
Yeah, that should be a good game. Vortex playing pretty well yesterday. Angelic with the pull.
Yeah, the pull is down the other way, and Nitro will now take over on offense, but the observer has something to say about it.
Yeah, looks like there was an offside, although they aren't making the offside hand signal. I'm not sure what this hand signal means. I believe it was the team on offense was offside, which means the defending team gets a chance to set up and don't have to run it down.
Yeah, so with that, Nitro just trying anything they can to get the disc down to the other end of the floor, and play is underway once again. A couple of lateral throws back down to clap catch there by number 3. That's Lum. Lum drops it back, and you'll see Lum get it right back with the give and go once again. Goes to the pivot foot, now drops it back again. Just that speaks to the defense here, Jonah, of Helios.
Yeah, and this is that FSU I was talking about. Number 16, kind of the player who's hanging out in the middle of the field looking for whoever wanders into that space and playing hard defense on them. Actually, excuse me, I think this is the Arrowhead. Intentionally dubious which one it is. I was talking to Dave Stelk before the game, and he said both of them, it looks like the same defensive set when you're on offense. Good. But in reality, they're forcing opposite things.
Good clap catch back down the other way as Nitro's getting closer and closer to the end zone. Disc now, the marker is counting it. Good clap catch. It ends up at the right side to the end zone, and it's caught. Nitro's on the board. It's 8-1.
Yeah, that was great offense. A big shot straight down the middle of the field, splitting the defenders to gain 40, 50 yards on one throw, and then 2 up lines. They're in the end zone for their first score.
And we were talking about, Nitro perhaps getting a chance to opening the scoring on their part, and they were able to do so. So for Nitro, like I said, it may seem like a big hill to climb, but all is not lost just yet.
Yeah, we've seen how much value Helios is getting by starting on defense each of these points, because they're getting down and forcing Nitro backwards, and when the turnover happens, typically it's in Nitro's half. So Helios only has half the field to play with when they pick up the disc. If Nitro can force some of those short field turns of their own, maybe starting on their opponent's brick line or even closer, it's possible that 1 or 2 end zone sets and they could get the ball rolling and get some of these points back.
So we'll see now the coaches talking over here with their teams before the resumption of play. And when it comes to the time between scores and between when you get to begin your next possession, it is somewhat valuable time for the coaches.
Absolutely. It's time you can talk about strategizing, you can talk about matchups, or you can just rest your players. Some of these players are double shifting. Number 16 on the line, for example, Moulard, and you want to give him a little breather, some time to catch his breath and make sure he's got enough energy to play the next point.
We have some chants going on as you'll see the pole being thrown here, and it's down the other way. Well, that one went quite the distance.
Yeah, that was a good pull. Wow, big fake sends the defender flying.
Yeah, very much. Climb catch now, a forehand throw. It ends up caught here by Helios. Oh, they're looking for a huck back down the other way. No one is back in terms of defense, and it's caught. What a catch. And now to the end zone. The clap catch is complete. What a drive here by Helios as they score, and it's 9-1.
That was a phenomenal grab from number 8, Angelic. Through contact, defender swiping at his arms. He says, and one, give me that. I'm throwing the assist.
But the biggest thing about that, though, Jonah, was that Helios was able to get the cutter wide open. There was no defensive coverage back there, and no one there to stop him from making that catch.
Yeah, there was definitely some blown coverage. The disc came under on the far side of the field, and there was no one covering number 8. He was going. He was looking back. He's like, where am I? Where are my defenders? That disc came up. He had all the time to get in position and make that play.
So Helios will now resume possession as you'll see the coaches continuing to talk to their teams in between scores here. And well, as per what we were told, the game does go up to a score of 13, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, it's either 13 points or 90 minutes. But as we said, we thought that 7 points were the halftime, and we're not sure yet. Maybe the teams decided to skip halftime, or there was a different cap. But
I think they probably agreed to skip.
Considering the score of the game.
Yeah. We're definitely past the halftime point, and sometimes the teams are, it's really hot. We don't want to sit down and hang out. Let's just get this over with. Let's just keep playing. And that's the nice thing about Ultimate. The players and the teams ultimately decide on calls, on...
No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. As the poll goes up for Helios.
Yeah, the pole goes up and it's thrown down, so Nitro will begin their offense here, and that's another thing. As soon as the pole is thrown, there's no time, no whistles in between. Oh, a long huck back down the other way. Can Nitro complete the catch? It's caught! A double-handed catch there. A two-handed catch, I should say, as Nitro's moving the disc in rapid-fire succession, similar to their first score. They're at the end zone, and a clap catch is complete. Score here for Nitro. They have 2 on the board.
That was an awesome sequence of events. That huck came up, big grab, and then just little poppy backhands all the way up the field. They basically went in a straight line diagonally away from us, and just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 throws in a row, punch it in for the hold.
And see, I think the strategy here for Nitro, and Jonah, I know you'll agree with me on this, is work in rapid-fire succession at this point. You're down 9-2. Obviously, fate and the score is not on your side, so all you can do is just, instead of trying to overdo things, just keep it simple and work in rapid-fire succession.
Yeah, I agree. I think they need to keep this momentum going, and if they can let this Helios defense set up and drive them backwards and drive that wedge between the cutters and the handlers, they're in trouble. If they can have some more of those big hucks or those big shots over the top that kind of gain lots of yards in one go, I think they're going to hopefully find some success. It's tough. It's a high-risk, high-reward mentality where, you want to hit the safe shots, you want to keep the disc alive, but at the same time, that hasn't been working, so maybe you just need to put it up and see if you can come down with it.
And, there's also the wondering point, at least for me, is with Helios playing the intense defense that they did play, especially in that first half, will fatigue be a factor?
Yeah.
And considering guys are double shifting as well.
Yeah, I think it's getting hotter, It's early in the morning.
It's only going to get warmer as the day goes on, too.
Yeah. But that being said, Helios' defense is kind of zony. They're not chasing guys around. They're kind of controlling space, and that can help conserve energy down the stretch.
So Helios now on offense after the pull was sent down the other way. The drop pass. Oh, he faked the drop pass and gets a bit of a lateral pass thrown north. It ends up now to the right side of the field, but the observer saw something.
I think there was a stall down called.
Yeah.
So I think the mark number 23. Oh, it might have been a travel call.
Yeah, I think that's what Mooland is trying to contest, and he says, hey, I didn't travel.
Yeah.
But we'll see what the call is here.
Oh, wait. Okay, so it's foul, contested foul. The disc should come back on stall 6.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, it's nice. There are hand signals that players are supposed to learn and use so that everyone on the field knows what's happening. Unfortunately, it's typically not taught at the younger levels. But we saw the observer do that. He did the cross with his arms. That means foul. He touched his fists together. That means contested. And so the disc comes back on stall 6.
So it will still be with Helios here as the forehand throw is complete. The fake to the left as Mooland is calling for it at the left side. Instead, the pass is thrown to the right wing. A bit of a give and go attempt there as no one is there on Mooland as he completes the pass. Oh, it's almost dropped, but it is complete. Pass ends up with Blay here at the left side. I believe number 17 is Mooland as well. I wonder if him and number 16 are brothers. As a pass thrown ahead, the cutter caught it. This is number 16 Mooland who caught it. And Helios, I think we have something's called here by the observer.
Yeah. Likely a travel call.
A travel, I'd assume. And Blay and Lee are making their cases, so the observers will come together and talk what they saw.
Yeah. So the players, when a call is made, it's a stall down.
Oh, it's a stall down, yes.
Which almost seems unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's the fastest 10 count I've ever seen. But
yeah, I do not. I personally, I do not know how that ended up being a stall count.
Yeah. But the observers will convene. If the players, when they're having a discussion, they can choose to come to resolve the dispute on their own, or they can go to the observers, in which case the observers will give their perspective and make the call for them.
If you've just joined us, 9-2 is still the score in this one. The pass thrown ahead, and it's incomplete as Nitro will gain the disc back once again.
Yeah. Well, this is a chance for Nitro to get a break. I think that's their first.
Long huck back down the other way. Oh, it's incomplete.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's been about 3 or 4 consecutive possessions here for Nitro where they've not allowed Helios to really gain a dangerous scoring opportunity.
Yeah.
Clap catch is complete. The two-handed catch, rather. Forehand throw, and they force the turnover as great defense there by Nitro leads to them getting the disc back.
Yeah, I think that was just a case of forcing it. Number 3, Lum, had position on the under. He was right there and didn't really have a chance.
Long huck to the end zone, and it's incomplete. So Helios will regain the disc once again and begin play heading down to the other end of the field. So dangerous chance there for Nitro, but they're unable to capitalize. And especially when catching the disc as well, Jonah, it's very important that you stay on the pivot foot and not travel.
Absolutely. Yeah, when you catch the disc, people often say, oh, you have 3 steps, but that's a bit of a misnomer. It's as many steps as you need while decelerating. So you catch the disc and you try and stop as quickly as possible. If you speed up or change your direction, it is a travel, and you have to come back to the spot where you were and before you can continue play.
Black catches this one here for Helios as the count is on by the marker. Just has Black's forced to throw this one back to Mooland. This is number 17. And now Helios looking for a pass. The marker is counting it, and it gets through. A bit of a low throw there. Mooland catches it with the 2 hands as he's looking for an opportunity. The count is on here. Mooland gets this one back. It ends up, and it's intercepted. And we'll have a turnover here forced as, again, Nitro with their defense is changing the narrative here.
Yeah, great defense all around there from Nitro, keeping Helios on this near sideline and not letting them get a reset off. Mooland kind of got stuck looking upfield for options and then looked back to his dump. There was no one there. Had to force an inside backhand and right to the defender's hands.
So the observers perhaps saw something here that both teams are trying to figure out the resolution to. And obviously the call on the field originally was a turnover.
Yeah. I think that the call is there was also a stall down called.
Yes.
So they're disputing whether the disc ends up where it landed or where the stall down occurred. And I think it's where the disc landed.
Now that was a 10-second call, I understand, as a long huck back thrown the other way. And it's incomplete.
Yeah, just a little bit too much IO edge, floats it out of bounds, but not a bad look. The receiver had separation, great strides going deep, just couldn't quite get up for it.
9-2 is still the score here at Newton Athletic Park. Our first matchup of the day, the open quarterfinal between Helios as well as Nitro. Helios on offense here.
Yeah, Helios set up in kind of a deep vertical stack, and it's making it difficult for their handlers to find anyone upfield.
What a catch there as the forehand throw was complete.
Yeah.
But the officials called
another stall down.
Another stall down here.
Yeah, and you typically
was that
won't.
10 seconds?
It was up there. That definitely felt like it was close. Often when the stall down gets called, you'll hear players make one of two calls. They'll either say, "Oh no, it was out of my hand before you called it," or "Oh no, you counted the last two numbers a little bit too fast, so we have to bring it back because you fast counted." Very rarely does this result in a turnover, but it looks like this is one of those rare occasions where the person with the disc said, "You know what? You got me. You can have it."
Yeah, so this will now be into the hands of Nitro as they are real close here to the end zone. And you'll see the Cutters move forward as Lum makes the throw. And it's, again, a turnover here by Nitro. Perhaps a big chance for them to get another score, but just incomplete.
Yeah, if there's anyone you want to score, it's one right on your opponent's goal line.
Interception here by Nitro as they're able to make up for that last missed play. A two-handed catch at the near side, and now ends up with a forehand throw down to the middle. As you'll see the marker staying right up on the handler. Another backhand throw. It is complete. And for Nitro, they have to be real careful here. And, when landing, especially after making a catch, as they're moving the disc real well. The pivot foot is established. The drop pass is complete. As Nitro drops that one back, they're now looking to send it out to the left side. Again, a pivot foot. And it's thrown now near the end zone as Nitro's looking to make a play complete, and it's at the end zone. We have a score. 9-3.
Yeah, and Nitro's first break of the game. They finally got one back on D-line. And that could be what they need, a little kick in the butt, a little, we can do this, to get them right back into this one.
So they've utilized, Nitro's utilized the swing pass a bit more here in the second half, and it's working out to their succession. In that first half, Jonah, we rarely saw Nitro get down to the other end of the field. They were having a troubling time getting, away from their own end of the field, but they look a lot more comfortable here in the second half.
Yeah, I think the term that we use is huck and pin. You get that disc and you look deep and you throw it as far as you can, and then maybe you play defense and force a short field turn. Especially, it's not too windy out here, but they seem to be having more success gaining yards with these hucks, even if it turns over, than their dump and swing that they've been doing.
Well, earlier on in the spring season, especially, we often see that wind does play a factor in some games, and that could be it sometimes is a major deciding factor. But so far here in this one, not too windy of a day. But Nitro, they're now back within 6 points. But as I can see on the game on the other side of the field, that is all but complete with a 13-0 final score.
Yeah, that is tough, but. That's the A team in this prime program over there, Dino, and I think not surprising that they're dismantling their opponents piece by piece.
I believe Dino did make it to the Canadian Ultimate Championships last year as well, and it was like you said, Jonah, they're one of the premier Ultimate teams, especially in BC here.
Yeah.
So Helios now looking to get something going on offense. 9-3 is the score as the two-handed catch is complete. And the pass up ahead of forehand forward is complete as well. The forehand throw. Now a bit of a swing down to the near side, but that's another forced turnover here by Nitro.
Yeah, Nitro putting on a lot of pressure, forcing some mistakes, maybe fatigue coming into play, as you mentioned.
So Nitro did get the break point, as you mentioned, Joan, on their last possession. Can they do it again here? As the forehand throw is it's a two-handed catch caught by Chan. Swings it. Another quick pass here from the give and go down to the right side. The pass is complete.
Yeah, that was a great throw from Zero.
Very much. Drop pass now set back as the pivot foot is established, but Nitro just unable to complete the swing to the near side.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Helios with another chance at scoring here. Gets it to the sideline.
Yeah, the disc at the sideline as the forehand throw is complete. A huck back down the other way. Here's a chance now for Helios in the end zone. It's caught, and we have a score. It's 10-3 for Helios.
That was a gorgeous huck from Helios. Just a little bit of a high release flick, sat it out over the heads of the defenders, and dropped it right into the breadbasket. No one in sight.
And again, Helios' ability to just get down to the other end without really having any defensive coverage on them, just creating time and space for themselves is what has kept them ahead in this game. And I mean, if it's any indication, if Helios versus Dinos could be our next semifinal game, but obviously with the table working the way it is, if those two teams were to compete at some point here today, I think it would be a great game.
I agree. I think the athleticism of Helios and their defensive prowess especially would be a big challenge for Dino, and something I hope we get to see at some point this tournament.
So we'll now see Helios throw the pull down to the other end. And now I'm taking a look over here at the Nitro sideline, obviously putting themselves in position to put themselves back in the game, getting the score to about a 9-3, but that last score here by Helios, perhaps not what you want if you're Nitro.
Yeah, I feel like that was kind of a must score. You know, the difference between 9-4 and 10-3 is a 2-point swing, and that just slight miscommunication on the end zone that would have put them in that position. And now Helios only needs 3, and they're going to book their ticket to the semis, and I think book their ticket to the show as well.
Yeah, very much, and it should be an interesting day. Of course, we have a lot more action still to come here at the BC Ultimate Championships. As the swing by Nitro is complete. Now the marker is counting 10 here for Helios, but Nitro is able to get the pass through. Another swing out to the far side is complete. The drop pass back. Another swing pass back out now to the near side. Backhand throw is complete. As you see, Nitro moving the disc in quick succession. A bit of a give and go, and then a forehand pass through is complete. He'll try to flick it up. What a catch with the one hand. Oh, I mean, the Helios player, Jang, took a tumble.
That was awesome. So Nitro doing, it's called a handler dominator. You saw the 4 cutters sitting deep that whole time. Just 3 handlers weaving around the field.
Yeah, the forehand throw is complete here for Lee as they're at the end zone. And Lee will just flick that up. Smart play by Lee. We have a score. What a sequence there for Nitro.
Yeah, number 5, Lee, that point, decided, hey, I'm going to get my team back into this. He was going every other down the stretch, had that big layout at midfield, and hits a nice, cheeky little shot in the end zone for the score. I think if they can do more stuff like that, they're going to find some success.
Very much. It's a 10-4 game now here in favor of Helios over Nitro, as Nitro refusing to go away without making some noise. And, I mean, you talked about this, Jonah. We said 9-4 was a better score than 10-3, but, hey, with a turnover here forced, if they're able to get the break and then score a break point, we could find ourselves in a 10-5 game.
10-5. I'll compromise. That sounds pretty good. Yeah, Nitro defensive line here. I think you're going to start seeing all of their best players going out and staying out. If they want to get back into this game, it's probably going to take running their top 7-8 players for the remainder of the points. Especially, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, if you're Helios here from a defensive standpoint, the defensive side of things, as an observer, what would you like to see from Helios from the defensive side of things to try and get some stops here?
Helios, yeah, I think if this Dominator set, this three handler Dominator set that Nitro's doing proves to be troublesome, they might switch to a match defense, a person defense, or just maybe even a traditional zone to kind of force them backwards and mess that up. Here we see Nitro in a 3-3-1 zone.
An interception here by Lee as Nitro is able to force the turnover, and now they'll send it to the end zone. It's caught. There it is, Jonah. It's 10-5 off of the break point. And hey, like I said, this could get real interesting.
This could get real interesting. 10-5 suddenly doesn't seem that far away from 10-6 and heck, maybe even 10-7.
So correct me if I'm wrong. This game at one point, I believe it was a 7-0 game, 8-0 game.
It was. After half, I'm not sure that Helios has gotten a break. It's been Nitro with 3 holds and now 2 breaks to their name, which is pretty good. Definitely a turnaround. And on paper, they're winning the half, which means if they keep it going, they could win the game.
10-5 is the score here as Nitro is continuing to gain confidence. After Helios scored to make it a 10-3 game, we thought that perhaps, for Nitro, it may have been all signed, sealed, and delivered, but they themselves have not given up, and they're giving themselves a chance to compete here and a chance to give themselves and put themselves back in a position to maybe, just maybe, get close to a comeback.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see here is another 3-3-1 zone from Nitro. It's been really deadly when they force the disc to the sideline and get that trap on. They really wrap behind the mark. They collapse on the person with the disc. And when the disc is on the sideline, Helios has struggled to get it back to the middle.
So the pole is thrown down to the pole is complete.
Yeah.
And the swing now to the...
Here's that zone.
Very much as Helios looks to move the disc. A bit of a drop pass. Oh, what a move there. Behind the back went Moulin as he tried to confuse everyone. And now a give a go between Moulin. And as you can see, they're moving up the field as Moulin gets the backhand throw. And now a bit of a drop pass and sent back. Moulin sends it forward. Another give and go here as Helios moves it to the end zone. Here's a chance, and it's caught. Not by who it was intended to, but someone else there for Helios was right there, and they're able to get the score.
Yeah, that's what we call a trash collection. See the 2 big guys going up. I'm going to hang out, see if there's a deflection, see if maybe they miss it, and do my best to pick up the scraps that they leave.
But great field positioning there by Helios as they're able to get 2 guys in place to be able to catch the disc. As we saw, they intended it for the person or the player who was trying to get the one-handed catch, but it ends up going, as you said, a bit of a trash collection there.
Yeah, and I think Nitro actually did a good job getting the disc over to the sideline, and then there was kind of a 1-2 pop pass, little scuba, and they got caught in transition. They're transitioning between that 3-3-1 zone defense, and then trying to get to a match defense where they're, 1 assignment each. And during that transition, we saw 2 players on Helios just dribbling down the sideline, back and forth. And Nitro never quite recovered.
So now for Helios, they are 2 points away from winning this one. And it's an 11-5 game. And I'm not saying that Nitro is out of this one just yet. They've had a strong second half up until this point, and anything can still technically happen.
Anything could happen. Yeah, sometimes teams get complacent in this position. Oh, we're up 5 points, we're up 6 points. We'll take it easy. We'll put on the bench, and then 1 point doesn't go your way. Suddenly 2 or 3 points don't go your way. And suddenly you got to lock back in because you got a real game on your hands.
So here is the pull from Helios, as I think we're getting a bit more wind now onto the field, and that one goes all the way out of bounds into the crowd area here.
Yeah, that could have hurt someone.
Luckily, everyone was okay. And well, for those who haven't felt an ultimate disc before, it's not pleasant.
No, getting hit in the face definitely hurts. All right, so here we have, it looks like that FSU defense, 3 Helios players playing hard defense on the handlers, and the rest of the players upfield with 1 person in the middle. But Nitro doing this handler dominator that we talked about, just a bit of a miscue.
Yeah, Nitro tried the swing there to the near side, but that was incomplete. So Helios will pick up the disc and get to work on the offense. Lewis with a bit of a overhand pass. And here we see a forehand throw, but a great deflection there by Nitro's number 41 to force the turnover.
Yeah, that looked like a pretty good shot. Number 27 just kind of slowed up at the last minute, let his defender sneak under him, and gave up the block.
So as we'll see Nitro now move the disc, a forehand throw to the right wing side, and another one is complete out now to the far side of the field. And the clap catch here by number 18 throws it back, and his pass was intended for number 2, but he just couldn't get there in time.
I think that's been the story of this game. These little miscommunications, these little miscues, a disc overthrown or a little bit too low.
Helios to the end zone. That one goes out of play, but this is now going to be in Nitro's possession. And I think that's the first time that we've seen Helios throw a disc to the end zone and it's incomplete.
Yeah, which is a testament to this team's discipline. I think the end zone is where where many turnovers happen. The disc gets the field gets compressed. There's not that much space to work with. There's lots of defenders hanging around, and the fact that Helios has been so consistent with their end zone sets, scoring on these little up lines, these pop passes, is very impressive.
I think we have a timeout here called by Nitro.
Yep. And so each team gets one timeout per half, as well as a floater. A floater can be used in either half. The timeouts are typically 90 seconds, and it's just get some water in your players, get them some rest, because you can't substitute in the middle of a point unless there's an injury. So a timeout is a good compromise where you can get your guys rested and maybe make some tactical adjustments coming out of it to figure out how you want to proceed with the point.
And for Helios, who are currently up 11-5 here on Nitro, and only 2 points separates them from a win. But, I mean, often in many sports, we've seen that those last couple of points to get to a win, or, for hockey, for example, the third period, the last 5 minutes of the third period, and I'm sure in Ultimate as well, the last couple of points before you reach the target score or the final score, they are the hardest points to get.
Yeah, mentally, there's the pressure of, oh, man, I want this game to be over. But you have to stay grounded. You have to stay in the moment and think about the things you're in control of. Okay, how am I playing defense? How am I throwing this disc? You can't look too far into the future. You got to make sure that the job gets done here and now.
So we'll see now the Nitro handlers getting to work. As they'll look for an open lane, the pass is drawn back and now out to the near side to number 27. He goes for a left-handed backhand pass. And now again a backhand pass to the near side. It's caught with two hands. Number 10, I believe that's Quach on the pivot foot. Goes for a forehand swing. It's complete. As you'll see, Nitro again, it's the story of the first half where Helios is just playing incredible defense on them, not allowing them to really move the disc out further. Quach now drops this one back here to number 2 as the swing, it's incomplete. It looked like that number 13 was wide open to catch the disc, but he just drops it, unable to complete the catch.
You hate to see it, but it's the way it goes sometimes. You think, this is the easiest catch of my life, and you lose focus for a second.
And look at that. That was the easiest score of the game here for Helios as they complete the long stretch, or the long pass there, and just a bit of a flip of the disc to the end zone. It's a score. It's 12-5.
12-5, yes. And I think it was maybe some fatigue coming in there. That was a 4 or 5 turnover point. Nitro coming out of the timeout was already looking kind of tired. And then to turn it over and have to play defense again, sometimes it's just too much effort.
So we've arrived at the game point here for Helios at least, as 12-5 is the score, and all they need is another score, and this one will be over.
Yeah, I think if I'm Helios, I'm thinking, okay, this one's basically in the bag. Unlike other sports like soccer and hockey where any team can score at any given time. If you've got the disc in your hands, you're in complete control. The defense can't do anything. So if I were Helios, I would say, you know what, let's get our guys out there. Let's put this to bed as quickly and efficiently as possible. And we won't have to worry, look towards the semifinals, because I think this one, don't want to count anyone out, but I think this one might be done and dusted.
And again, a reminder that coming up next here on Trick Shot is the women's quarterfinal as Nitro will take on Vortex. Excited to see how that one plays out between what should be a very fun matchup, as you said, Jonah.
Yeah. Nitro back-to-back. How lucky we are. Okay, Helios here. I think they're going to come down in another one of their zone sets. It's been so effective, forcing Nitro to throw, lots of throws in a row, and they're just kind of giving the disc over. It's missed clap catches. It's throws that are just a little bit too far.
I mean, you can tell by their body language here as well, as a bit of a backhand throw. He goes for a huck down the other way, but it's intercepted. As Helios now looking to seal the deal here on this one. They're moving the disc in rather quick succession as Black being counted by the marker. Angelic gets it back. Angelic goes for a throw or goes for a pass. The throw is complete. The lateral pass is complete down to the far side. Back to Angelic here along the near sideline. Goes for the backhand, and that is caught by two hands. As you see Helios moving the disc in quick succession. The flip here.
Nice.
And a great forehand pass. It ends up caught with two hands. Another two-hand catch here by Mooland. As Mooland will look for a pass to the cutter to seal the deal to the end zone. It's swatted down, and Nitro says, no, not yet.
It's a little bit too casual. A little high release backhand. Angelic didn't quite have positioning. Ends up being a turn. They huck it right away.
Yeah, long huck thrown down the other way. Almost caught, but incomplete. And Helios will get this one right back.
Yeah, let's see if they can punch it in here. Moulin picking up to Angelic.
And so we'll see Helios having the disc here at the near side. Black gets this one back.
Now this is where Helios has kind of struggled. They get it on the sideline.
Lewis to the sideline, now to the end zone, and that is incomplete.
Yeah, it's tough. That's we call it a same third huck. You're in the throwing from the same third of the field that your receiver is in, and it's a tight window to get it there. Smallest margin, and it's fading out of bounds, and you're giving the disc to your opponents.
So we'll see Nitro getting the disc back here. And as they'll go for the forehand throw, and Nitro not willing to give up that last point. We've talked about it so often, but the last point to score is often the hardest. As you'll see now, another lateral throw. It ends up flipped by Nitro. They'll go for a forehand, and that's deflected down by Helios, an interception.
Yeah, that's a great run-through block. Bit of a tight window. Number one just gets the run-through.
To the end zone. It is caught, and that will do it for this one. Helios able to get the final score, and we have a final score. It's 13-5 in favor of Helios over Nitro.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty strong showing from Helios, and I'm excited to see what they can do in the semifinals. I think that should be their qualification to the Canadian National Championship. So congrats to Helios on their historic win here at Surrey Newton.
Now for Nitro here, Jonah, obviously not the performance, not the way they wanted to kind of head out from the tournament here, but what can this Nitro team take away from our matchup today?
I think it's a story of resilience. I think going down 7-0, it's easy for a team to kind of roll over and say, you know what, all right, they got us, we're not going to play anymore. But that second half, they came out and they scored a couple of breaks. They started to get some momentum going, and it's certainly a young team out there. That is a tough lesson to learn, that you have that inside you where you can fight back and actually, we're not just going to roll over. We're going to keep fighting and we're going to score some points. So I think it's a good lesson for all these players moving forward on whatever team they play next year for their high school teams, that you're never out of it until the last point is scored.
And now we'll see what I call the best tradition in all of sports, a bit of a handshake line being formed after an intense battle between these two teams. Now for Helios, what can they look forward to moving on?
I think it's going to be tightening up their offense and their defense. Their defense looked good, but their offense looked a little shaky. There was, especially in the reset systems, they were getting stuck on the sideline pretty often. And against a team like Nitro, where you can kind of flip throws up and get away with some looser throws against a team like Dino or against a team like Canyon moving forward, the defensive pressure is going to be much higher, and they're going to need to figure out a way to get the disc off the sideline more consistently.
Yeah, keep in mind that these teams are competing for a bid at the Canadian Ultimate Championships happening in Edmonton. The Open Division does get 7 bids to the Canadian Ultimate Championships, and the women's division gets 8 bids. So with that, and especially at CUC, team seeded 17, the 24th cannot finish higher than 9th place. The BC Open 6 and 7 will be seeded at 17th and 19th, and the BC Women's 8 will be seeded 22nd. So for the Canadian Ultimate Championship, just some stats to know. But Jonah, this is I think this is a great way for us to open up our day here, and hopefully it does set the stage and set the tone for the rest of the day, as we still have a lot of lacrosse action, or sorry, not lacrosse, but a lot of ultimate action going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Although, these teams, I think for the rest of the day, will have already qualified. Seeding does go a long way at Nationals, being the first seed in a pool with some not so good teams versus being the second or third team in a pool can be the difference between making the bracket and bustering out in pools. So we'll see what these teams can bring if they can get into that Canadian Nationals mindset, and excited to see some more Ultimate for the rest of the day.
Folks, this has been the BCUC live stream presented by Vancouver Ultimate. Find Ultimate programs for all ages and skills and skill levels across Metro Vancouver at VUL.ca. Vancouver Ultimate would like to thank their preferred apparel provider, VC Ultimate. Find high-quality apparel, discs, and accessories for yourself, or equip your team with custom gear at vcultimate.com. Vancouver Ultimate would also like to thank Friction Gloves and London Pub and the team that makes this broadcast happen. Consider making a tax-deductible donation to Vancouver Ultimate to support youth programs across Metro Vancouver at VUL.ca/donate. Now, for Jonah Lee Ash, my name is Jagranj Lally. Thank you so much for tuning in to our first game of the day. Don't go anywhere. It's coming up at 10:30. We'll bring you the women's quarterfinal as Nitro takes on Vortex. Until then, enjoy this great game of Ultimate, and we'll see you on the next one.